Hey everybody, what is going on? It is Rick and I'm here with July Part 1 2022 reviews. We have 15 movies to talk about. This is what I watched the first half of the month, so let's dive right in. The first thing I watched was on Apple Plus, and that is Greyhound, which stars Tom Hanks. The movie started out very slow for me. There was a thing that really bothered me, and I'm sure it was very common in war 80 years ago when this movie takes place. But there were numerous people echoing the same thing over and over. And at first I was like, oh, this is just like the beginning of the movie, like they're not going to do this. No, it happens throughout the movie. It drives me insane. I know it's a crazy nitpick. Finally, the action kind of ramped up in the second act, but never piqued my interest or had my full attention. It was just okay. So Greyhound gets a 2 out of 5 for me. The next thing we watched was Ford vs. Ferrari. I actually watched that with RJ because he picked it out for us to watch. It's a movie I really enjoyed in theaters when I saw it. I will say that on the rewatch, I fell asleep during the middle portion. And like I said, I had seen it before, but I was just super exhausted the day we watched it. But the last hour of this movie is so awesome. The climax of the film is just fantastic with the 24 hours of Le Mans. And Christian Bale and Matt Damon are both excellent in the movie. And the chemistry is just palpable between them, and I really enjoyed it. So Ford vs. Ferrari, 4 out of 5. The next thing was a movie that RJ wanted to watch. It was one of the few Adam Sandler movies that he was allowed to watch that he hadn't seen, and that is Airheads. So I finally decided to show him Airheads. And I didn't realize, it's been a while since I'd watched it, that half of the Ghostbusters are in Airheads. Dan Aykroyd as well as Ernie Hudson are both in Airheads. And there's so many cameos and small roles for famous actors that really made it enjoyable. Adam Sandler in one of his earliest major roles, and that was basically more than like a minor role in like Coneheads or something like that. So yeah, wait, I'm very confused. Adam Sandler definitely plays like his stereotypical Adam Sandler self in this movie as the drummer. Airheads gets a 2.5 out of 5. It's not a great movie, but it's still a fun watch, and it has like the nostalgia going for it for me. The next thing we watched was thanks to the folks over at Warner Brothers who sent me over Edge of Tomorrow on 4K. Watched it with Bridget and RJ, and I didn't remember how much action was actually in the movie. Bridget isn't a huge fan of action films. If there's story there, she keeps interest, but when there's like a big set piece action scene, she finds herself just like losing interest, or like, I don't want to say falling asleep because that's not what happens, but she just kind of like loses it. Her mind, like her mind wanders to other places during big action scenes. But RJ really liked it. I really like the movie. I basically think it's like a sci-fi action Groundhog's Day. Tom Cruise is great in the movie. Emily Blunt's awesome in the movie too, as a, like a female super soldier essentially. And I know they've teased a sequel for this for quite some time now. I kind of hope we get it. I really enjoyed watching this again on a revisit. So there are definitely issues too with how he gets drugged into living his day over and becoming part of the program. They kind of just gloss over that. But that's just a nitpick. Edge of Tomorrow gets a 4 out of 5 for me. Really enjoy it. Like I said, it looks fantastic on 4K. The next thing Bridget and I watched was on Apple Plus, and it is Cha Cha Real Smooth. Cooper Raiff, who stars and directs this movie, was in 2020. He directed and wrote and starred in a movie called S House. That's not the full title, but it was a festival darling. It really got him some strong buzz, And he followed up that movie with this, Cha Cha Real Smooth, which is basically, he's a 22-year-old kid who basically doesn't have direction. He gets out of college and he ends up being like a party starter for bat and bar mitzvahs. And he's really good at it. He falls for Dakota Johnson, who is one of the kids' moms that goes to like this circuit of parties, because all these kids are turning 13 at the same, well, not at the same time, but in the same period of time. And they're all friends with each other, so they all go to these parties. There's a girl, Lola, who's played by Vanessa Berghart, who is Dakota Johnson's daughter in the movie. She's fantastic. I love the scenes with her and Cooper Raiff on screen. Like, they're so good together. And she's autistic in the movie, but she's, I don't know if she is in real life. I think she is, if I remember reading that correctly. But very, like, it's a coming-of-age movie. It's uncomfortable in parts, but overall is a very fun watch. Definitely one of my favorite movies to watch on Apple Plus, or that I've watched on Apple Plus so far. Cha Cha Real Smooth gets a 4 out of 5. The next thing I watched was a DVD, and it's a movie that was on my John Cusack movies to watch list, and it's called Tapeheads. It stars John Cusack as well as Tim Robbins. It's a very, very, very much so a love letter to like the mid-late 80s and the music video. The movie, in my opinion, is pretty cringy, especially as a first-time watch some 30-plus years later. There are positives. It does have a really fun soundtrack. There's some cool cameos in it. John Cusack has like the... what's his name? John Waters mustache in the movie. Tim Robbins basically wants to be a filmmaker, music video creator. There's a weird side plot with a political tape that gets mixed up with their tape, and it kind of made the movie a bit bizarre. But I was curious where it was going, and even though it was weird, I finished watching it, and I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Nothing I need to see again, but definitely glad I checked it out for the one-time watch. Next up was another DVD called Welcome to the Rileys, which stars Kristen Stewart, James Gandolfini, and Melissa Leo. The movie is basically about a couple, Melissa Leo and James Gandolfini. James Gandolfini's cheating on his wife. They're grieving over the loss of their daughter, who I think was like 15 or 16. Gandolfini goes away on business and is at a strip club and meets Kristen Stewart's character, who basically does prostitution. She's a stripper, but she doesn't have money to eat, and he like kind of takes, I don't want to say takes her in, but he like goes to her house and tries to like clean her up and clean up her act. And man, there's I put here, there's prostitution, stripping, drug use, adultery. The movie pulls you in every direction, but overall it's an outstanding film. It's a very heavy film in parts, but I give it a 4 out of 5. James Gandolfini also does this weird accent in the movie, which kind of took me out of it in parts, but that's a nitpick. The movie's still fantastic. Welcome to the Rileys, 4 out of 5. The next thing I watched was a documentary on Apple Plus called Boys State. Basically, it is a documentary from A24 about a yearly experiment that's run by the American Legion in Texas, which they've done for like, I want to say 90 years or close to 90 years now, where 1,000 boys aged 16 to 18 form their own like governments, and they run campaigns to run an election. They split between two parties, the Federalists and the Nationalists. And there's several polarizing kids in this movie. There's also some very unlikable kids in this movie. And it's very, The movie is very politically driven, but it also talks about the importance of politics. But there's also a lot of, especially in the beginning, we're talking about boys from Texas, so there's lots of strong beliefs, and obviously with two different parties, they have to kind of go against those beliefs or pretend to believe in stuff they don't. And they try to use smear campaigns off their Instagrams and stuff. So the movie had me very intrigued throughout, very curious to see how it would end up. I gave Boys State a 4 out of 5. The next thing that we watched, we did a few movies in theaters using Regal Unlimited. The first thing we watched was Thor: Love and Thunder. Very excited going into this movie, as I was a huge fan of Thor Ragnarok. Although the first two Thor movies are two of my bottom 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe films. I'm not a big fan of Thor or Thor Dark World, but Ragnarok was just amazing. And Thor Love and Thunder I definitely enjoyed. Not quite as much as Ragnarok, but definitely more so than The Dark World and the original Thor movie. The humor that was very prevalent in Ragnarok was once again here in Love and Thunder. Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher is fantastic, very creepy, definitely an unsettling villain for sure. One of the best, probably since Thanos, and probably one of my top 5 MCU villains, honestly. That's how much I enjoyed him. Chris Hemsworth's awesome as Thor. Korg is back. I enjoyed Thor Love and Thunder quite a bit. Curious to revisit it. I give it a 4 out of 5. The next thing we watched was also at Regal, using Regal Unlimited at the movie theater, and that was The Black Phone. Lots of positive word of mouth was out about this one when we went and saw it in theaters. Apparently we did a double feature that day, so we did Thor Love and Thunder, had some lunch, and then went back to watch The Black Phone. Ethan Hawke is very creepy as the Creeper in this movie. That's what he is known as, the Creeper, who's basically a masked man who kidnaps children in the area. The movie also likes to focus on the importance and the bond between brother and sister, which is a nice element of the film. I had issues with the movie going into supernatural territory, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into spoilers. I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more if it didn't go into that. The jump scares in the film were limited, but effective for sure. I definitely jumped a few times in this movie. And the movie is good. I mean, like I said, Ethan Hawke's fantastic. And the two kids in the movie are both very good as well. I give The Black Phone a 3.5 out of 5. The next thing I watched was one that was being praised very highly. I'd heard lots of great things, and that was Everything Everywhere All at Once. We watched on 4K. Lots of buzz. A24 fans loved it. Non-A24 fans loved it. So I was very, very excited. I blind bought it from Amazon. Like, I pre-ordered it going in, which I hardly ever do. The movie is a blast. So many different costumes. The cinematography is awesome. Stephanie Sue and Michelle Yeoh are awesome in the movie. They must have had blasts with like all the different costumes, and Michelle Yeoh, I believe it's Yeoh, with all the crazy like set universes and action scenes she got to do, and just all the different like styles the movie goes in. It's really like, I mean, it's the best multiverse movie of the year. It blows Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness out of the water when it comes to a multiverse. Who doesn't love Raccacoonie? Raccacoonie? I believe that's how you say it. Raccacoonie, being voiced by Randy Newman and Harry Shum Jr. as Chad, and the relationship between him and Raccacoonie. But there was lots of stuff that I was laughing hysterically at parts of the movie. There's stuff like hot dog fingers that had me like go, what is going on, just laughing. And I really enjoyed it. I'm sure it's probably going to go up on a rewatch because I was not sure what to expect. I gave Everything Everywhere All at Once a 4 out of 5. The next thing I watched on Tubi, we got a few more to talk about, guys, was Shattered. This was an erotic thriller, and I use that term loosely. And what did I say here? Oh, I might just read this whole review because I don't even really remember this movie very much. It blows my mind to see so many 2 and 2.5 star ratings, as the acting and plot of this movie is absolutely laughable. John Malkovich should be ashamed of himself for signing on and taking a paycheck to be in this atrocity. The acting felt low budget, beyond belief, and laughable. The first 30 minutes almost gave off a Cinemax late night vibe, and it was sad to watch this flick. Laughing out loud while watching this movie because of how over the top and stupid it can get. The movie then stoops to a new level of low when a child gets involved with the plot, and the acting between female actresses can be atrocious. The biggest culprit of terrible acting and awful performances is by the lead actor, Cameron Monaghan, who overacts as not convincing at all in this film. I really came close to giving this film a 0, but gave it a 0.5 star, and it hardly deserved that. So Shattered, 0.5 star. I'm moving on. I don't really remember this movie, but I had to talk about it. So there it is. If you see this movie, don't watch it. Next up, I watched a documentary on Hulu called GameStop, Rise of the Players. Basically, a documentary about the short squeezes put on GameStop stocks, thanks to the Reddit posts, YouTube channels where day traders made massive money, hedge funds lost billions of dollars, and the effects that it had on those different people. I liked when it focused on what the little people had happened to them during the trading. It also gets into Robinhood and how they shut down trading and were manipulating the market, and they could have been tied to the hedge funds. So overall, it is an interesting movie. It didn't overstay its welcome. GameStop Rise of the Players gets a 3.5 out of 5. The next thing we watched was on Paramount Plus, and that is Jerry and Marge Go Large. Was very curious about the trailer when I saw it was based on a true story. Basically, Bryan Cranston plays Jerry, and Annette Bening plays Marge. Jerry's retiring from Kellogg's because he's in Michigan. And basically he finds a loophole one day in the local lottery where he can be like guaranteed to win money. And he basically gets his whole little town involved in it to try to have everybody make money, and his family. I thought it was a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I know some people said they really didn't care for this one, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought the performances were good. The story was good. It's based on a true story. I gave Jerry and Marge Go Large a 3.5 out of 5. And the last thing we watched in the first half of July was Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, which we checked out on Hulu. Basically, the movie essentially is a 2-person play for, I would say, 95% of it. The story is fantastic. Basically, Emma Thompson is a widow who has basically only had a sexual experience with her her husband, who's passed away. She hires a young male escort known as Leo Grand, played by Daryl McCormick, to basically help almost with her sexual awakening. But it almost plays out as like a therapy, sexual revolution for Emma Thompson's character. There's one scene that takes place, pretty much it all takes place inside of a hotel room. There's one scene in particular that blows my mind. That blows my mind. But fantastic acting. Emma Thompson is great in the movie. Daryl McCormick is also really great in the movie. So Good Luck to You, Leo Grand gets a 4 out of 5 for me. That is it, guys. That is everything that I watched the first half of July 2022. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If not, I'll get it next time. Check out the description box where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies that I watch, my Blu-ray.com profile, my eBay store, Amazon wishlist, email address, P.O. box can all be found down below. And that is it. So thank you guys for watching. As always, until next time, who's down to movie?